How y'all doing? This is Julius Rodriguez for Qwest TV. I think my first musical memories are definitely in church, going to church and seeing the musicians, the organist, the drummer, the choir. It all really fascinated me, and I would go home and try and mimic them on pots and pans and my toys and things at home. But my first musical memories were definitely in church, Baptist church. Oh, that is a heavy question. I do have a playlist for it. I call it the greatest songs ever written. And I can't pick one, but I'll give you a few that are in there. Waiting in Vain by Bob Marley. Georgia by Emily King. I Can't Stop Loving You by Kem. Those are just a few that are in my playlist of greatest songs ever written. The first live performance I went to was an outdoor performance, and there was a guitarist named Carl Burnett. There is a local promoter in my town named Mark Morganelli who does live concerts. But the first real big concert I went to was Chick Corea and Return to Forever in 2008 for their farewell tour. Concert experience I had playing myself has to be, I did a summer stage show in Central Park with an artist by the name of Gabriel Garzon Montano. And it was so beautiful for me because I was always such a big fan of his music, and I had planned on going to the show anyways, but they asked me to play the show, so it was just amazing to be up there playing all my favorite music with the artists at the show. It felt surreal. The craziest. It's a good question. I love playing outdoor venues. I love playing house parties. Anything like that. I would love to play Sydney Opera House one day. Someone asked me this not too long ago. Christian McBride asked me this a couple weeks ago, and I told him it'd be Meshell and Ndegeocello on bass and Jameson Ross on drums. I was on tour with Ben Williams, great bass player. And we got to play in, I believe it was Slovakia. I may have that wrong, but there is a young bass player by the name of Aaron Hodek. He must have been 9 or 10 years old at the time. And I had been seeing him on the internet just playing the mess out of the bass with such maturity and feel. And Ben invited him to come play a song with us. And it was one of the most beautiful moments seeing Ben kind of pass down the torch to a younger musician who really had his stuff together and played like someone 3-4 times his age, you know. It's beautiful to get to go to another country and see someone else playing, the music that I love to play at such a high level, at such a young age. It was very promising, filled me with a lot of hope. So, lucky me, I've never had the issue of stage fright. I've never gotten nervous. I remember my first performance and it was just, just do what I did at home in front of other people, and it never meant anything to me. But I do have some pre-show rituals that I like to do. I love to listen to hype, New Orleans bounce music or trap music, anything kind of opposite, or I guess not even opposite anymore, but just very hype music I like to listen to before getting on stage. Top of that list, for sure, is Meshell and Ndegeocello's The World Has Made Me the Man of My Dreams. I think after that would be Herbie Hancock's Mr. Hands. And after that, the third LP would be Ahmad Jamal Live at the Pershing. Oh, for sure. For sure. I spent a lot of time listening to his trio and the whole compilation of when they toured across the country. He was just the king of arrangements and drama and just making music interesting for the audience. It's when you listen to him, you're always on the edge of your seat trying to figure out, okay, where's he gonna go next? What's happening with this arrangement? And he was just so interesting and so, He's a grand piano player. He knew how to play the whole piano, and he used his space. That's why he was Miles Davis's favorite pianist, because he really knew how to create a story on the piano. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Monk. The unique Thelonious Monk. I mean, that says it all there. You listen to his music. It's funny because the way he plays is very angular, and it may sound, jumbled or sound like some wrong notes. But really, it's like a deliberate choice because he knows all of the right notes. He knows how to play anything he could, but he chooses to do something unique that no one else is doing because he can, and he has such a wide knowledge of the depth of the entire scope of music beforehand, which is inspiring to me. To just know so much, know how to play it all, but also know when to omit things and when not to play and when to insert notes that are different. Yeah, that's very, very big influence on me. Anything by Stevie Wonder. He's one of my favorite composers. I wish I wrote any song he did. There's an album he has called Journey Through the Secret Life of Plants. And there's a few songs on there. Power Flower, Come Back as a Flower. Those two songs are just like such beautiful compositions. It's like, how do you even get there? So. I couldn't say a single one, no. In fact, there are so many different facets in my life that there's so many different albums that I relate to and that kind of, that I deal with, if that makes any sense. Jazz is just a four-letter word. It's just the name that some people chose to call the music that Black people were making at the time and that they were still making. But if you want to talk about what the word jazz is meant to encompass or represent, the music is everything. It's the culture. It's us, telling our stories of the way we live, the way we have lived, how we understand our history, and where we see it going. Groove. Groove is one of those things you can't define. It's just, it when you hear it because you'll feel it. It's like if you can't feel it, you can't really describe it to someone. And then, everyone has their own kind of groove that they resonate with. So when you feel a groove, you know it. You can't deny it. I feel like I shouldn't answer this question. Just know that I have my playlists, but I like to keep that private.
Okay.
Of those three, I'm definitely more of a vinyl junkie. I have a big vinyl collection with my parents now in New York, but I've been collecting vinyl since I was 13 years old. And I have a lot of pieces that mean a lot to me. And it's just definitely like an experience to buy vinyl, especially this day and age when there's so much history of the music to know about. Vinyl is a big and important thing to me. It's part of the music. Artificial intelligence in music is kind of scary. We already have so many issues today with, the discernment of intellectual property, and artificial intelligence, although it can be a great tool to get to certain concepts faster, it's also going to haze things up a little bit in terms of, where to give credit and how to divvy up the small funds that we have to compensate artists. So as amazing as it is as a technology, I feel like it's just going to make things even more difficult. So I'm a little bit worried for what's going to happen with it. But, we do what we can and we work with it. You always say, if you can't beat it, join it. And my whole philosophy on technology and music is like, try to get ahead of it so you can use it to your advantage. Anything in fashion, probably a designer or a stylist. I love, working with clothes and picking things out, and I feel like I have a lot of, unique ideas, at least in men's fashion, because it's very limited these days in men's fashion. So if I wasn't playing music, I'd be working in fashion, for sure. That's a good question. The phrase that I use to describe my music to someone who hasn't heard it, I call it alternative jazz, because it's obviously rooted and based in improvisation, but there's so many influences from R&B and rock and pop and folk and gospel and everything else. It's improvisation, but it's not your grandpa's jazz. I started taking piano lessons because when I was young, I was always interested in music, and we had a family friend who told my parents, if he wants to learn music, have him learn the piano first, so he can learn music theory, and then from then he can pick any instrument he wants. And that pretty much was the case. I learned piano, I studied classical, I studied musical theory, and it definitely gave me a step forward in any other instrument I wanted to take up and learn. So I was a drummer first, but knowing the theory helped me to be able to read music, learn about form, and knowing all the notes from the standpoint of the piano made it easier to pick up a guitar or a bass or a violin or any other instrument, because I had that fundamental understanding of the piano. My best advice to younger musicians who want to be able to play and improvise and compose is listen. Listen to as much music as you can. Listen very intently and try and, get an understanding of the things you're listening to, but also internalize it, because you have to feel it in order to be able to play it. I love the music of Meshell and Ndegeocello because she's one of those artists who, she's like a chameleon. She could do any style of music. If you look at her discography, every record is like a different kind of music, but in each thing that she does, she's always herself unapologetically. So you can tell by the sound, oh, that's Meshell for sure. And so that's something I just wanted to be around and learn from. Working with her is definitely a wild ride. There's not always a lot of, straightforward talking about what to do. It's a lot of just like, you gotta just be there in the moment and feel it. And, she doesn't work with everyone. So it's like, you gotta make sure you do your work at home before you come to a situation where you can communicate with her. It's like doing your research before you go and talk to someone. She recognizes that in the musicians that she does hire. Yeah, and I love working with her. As much of just like, it can be ambiguous sometimes, but it's always a fun ride.